I got a drink for y'all, man. So we're here. Zach North, not a rapper, not an artist, creative genius, I would say. What is a creative genius like Zach North drinking at on a Monday night, late at night? What kind of drink are you into? What do you drink?
Man, typically I'm on Scotch, man.
Scotch?
I like Macallan's. Tonight I switched it up though, man. I got a bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah, Basil Hayden, man.
I would say that, or I would ask that because it could be indicative of your music, you know. A little harsh on the outside, maybe the look. It's not always acceptable, but it's smooth once you listen, once you digest it, once you actually hear it. I want to ask you, 449 days ago, you posted So Great, February 14th, maybe, 2021. Was that the introduction to Zach North? Was that where were we right then at that point?
Yeah, man. It's a good question, man. We had just came off. We were still in the pandemic, man, but really had just came off the tail end. And you remember the first songs that I had dropped was like "Don't You Miss Out," "I Don't Fuck With You." But the essence of Zach is storytelling. It's intimate, and we haven't gotten into that yet as my career. So Great kind of set the benchmark for the capabilities and the writing ability. So we wanted to show that. We wanted to show that intimate side. So
Your name being Zach North, is that honest, or does that come from a deeper meaning? Were you born Zach North? Is Zach North the enigma, something that was born later in life, or is that who we been?
yeah. So I'll give you a little bit. I ain't gonna go too deep on.
I know. I'm gonna try and bring it out. Got to.
You got to. Zach. That's actually my name.
Okay.
All right. And then I'll just say the North comes from where I'm from.
I was gonna ask that. Where's the North? What is the 8? What is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
So North is where I'm from, right? And it's where I'm headed to. Right? So I wanted that constant reminder. North Carolina, North, some other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
The 8, that's the entire western North Carolina. So 828.
828.
And we refer to it as the 8. This is the 4. It originally used to be 704.
For sure.
Yeah, and then
Sure.
then it's
Just
then
the
it
4
switched
now.
up. Yeah, so that's why I say 8 to the 4. So if I hold up, I hold 2 up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gives that double meaning, that
Yeah.
double entendre.
Exactly. That's what raised me. The 8 raised me. 4 made me.
Having that North Carolina background, thank you. Having that 828 background, we don't have many examples, especially in this field of music that we do, that come from there. I can just go down my mind. Nothing's coming to mind. I'm sure there are people that have come out that have done great things, but what was that? What is that? Is that inspiring to know that you could be one of the first? Is that challenging, knowing that, man, it's never been done? I don't have no way to see how it's being done. Or what are your thoughts on that in terms of your area, where you're coming from, and you coming out of that area?
For sure. So, when you say we, I'm assuming you mean, what I'm saying, culturally, right?
For sure. For sure.
Hip hop culture, R&B culture. The way that I think, I don't think just subgenre. I don't think just genre. I don't compete locally. I think more on a global scale. So with that being said, I gotta acknowledge that there's a global star that comes from Western North Carolina. He's a country artist. His name's Eric Church.
Okay.
So he comes from Western North Carolina. So for me, when I set my sights, it's not just to compete within my genre, because ultimately, hip hop is the number one genre right now. Kanye said it best: "We the new rock stars." I want to see everybody in my genre come up. I want to see everybody get the credit they do. So I'm more so looking at the major artists like the Eric Church that come from Western North Carolina because, you know, you arguably, you got J. Cole in the East, you got the Baby in Central, and then you have Eric Church in Western North Carolina. It's just not hip hop, but the Baby and J. Cole, they mainstream artists,
For
you
sure.
know, and they in the top of what they do, and so is Eric Church. And I look at myself as that. I consider them my peers. They may not consider me their peers yet, but they're gonna have to soon. So that's what I look at.
You mentioned something. You said you don't compete locally, and you know you mentioned the names that you mentioned. When did that transition occur as an artist? Because we'll go back and start to the humble beginnings, but that had to have been the point where you realized I'm not going to move this way anymore, or I'm going to start moving in a certain light, or I'm going to start carrying myself in a certain way, so I can't even be seen as local, or I can't even be compared to local. When did the mindset change? Because it wasn't just you put the mask on, or it wasn't just you start. It had to be something in yourself.
Yeah, man. That's always been the end game. That's always been the focus. Now, I'll tell you, me coming up and hitting the steps that I hit, firm believer, the team is a firm believer, and we don't skip steps. And shout out to my manager, he's...
So at some point, while you're doing this thing, your mentality had to change, because you spoke about not being local, but you got all these big names that you're mentioning, and that of course you'll want to put yourself in. How and when did that transition occur? What was it? Because it wasn't just throwing a mask on one day and saying, okay, I'm this big star. Or if it was the case, how mentally do you even keep that up? Because it's when you're not accomplishing those things so much, when you're not accomplishing those same things, or if you're not maybe seeing yourself on doing those same things that those other artists are, it's hard to stay in that.
Yeah.
You're telling yourself now, no, I'm there. How?
For sure, man. I'll tell you from the beginning, the entire creation, that's been the goal the entire time. So even moving around locally and regionally, that's still been the end game. But my manager and the team drills into me as an artist, hey, let's not skip steps. We can't skip steps. And those steps are the steps that make you who you become, because you appreciate where you're going. For me, I'm a person that I love the journey. I love the process. And so having to get up and perform in front of my peers at a showcase, or to open for somebody where there's only 5 people, 12 people, and none of them know who I am, that's character building, I feel like, in this industry.
Absolutely.
And so to answer your question, I've always known. And so now what we are doing is curating everything that comes out. It's more tailored towards the goal versus an introduction. Everybody just experienced an introduction to Zach North.
Right.
Not even my truest music.
That's what's so crazy about it, though, because I've watched this and I've been